Hi guys, it's me, Trudy Lee. How's everybody doing today? Today is March 1st, and my mother would have been 82 years old today. So it is her birthday today. So I'm really thinking a lot about her today, and I think of her every day. Y'all remember she passed away last August in 2023. But, you know, I grew up with a very difficult mother. She was very violent and abusive and loving at the same time, which was very confusing. And that really messes you up when you don't know that mothers aren't a person that you should be afraid of, because we definitely were afraid of my mother. That was because my mom was very unpredictable. She was very unstable. And she would slap you in the face just as soon as look at you. She really would. So when she would say, Trudy, come here, come here, I would be like, I would come. I was obedient. I would come. But I was always worried I was going to get hit. My mom was the type that she would slap you or knock you upside the head and then tell you what you did wrong afterwards. So, if she called you over to her, you meant it was you were in trouble. You were just in trouble, and you'd better protect yourself one way or the other. Didn't want to be slapped in the face, so you're always like, "What do you want, Mom?" That's sad, but it's honest to God the truth. I think her favorite thing to whip us with was a switch when we were little. She used to like to take a switch out of the tree and switch our legs with it, and sometimes our legs would bleed and everything. She would switch the holy heck out of us. I remember one time I got switched, and I think I told this story before. I'd picked a rose out of somebody's yard on the way home from school, and I was probably maybe in the second grade, somewhere around there. I was really little, and I'd picked a rose, and I was so happy. The rose was so beautiful, and I brought it to my mother, and she said, "Where did you get this rose?" Because roses don't grow in the wild, but I just thought I saw a pretty rose. I was passing by a yard, and I picked it for her on the way home. And she switched me all the way back to that lady's house, made me apologize that I'd picked the rose, and switched me all the way back home. And I mean, it was a long ways. It was a long walk. And every time she caught up to me, she would switch my legs. I never forgot that. Now, I wasn't a bad child. I really wasn't. I didn't make a lot of trouble. My older sister, she got into a lot of trouble, and by seeing all the trouble that she got into, I made sure that I did not do the things that she did. So I learned by example for sure. But I had four siblings, three sisters, and a brother, and I still do. Um, my brother thinks he got the worst of it. That's how he feels, but I feel like my older sister actually got the worst of it by what I remember anyway. I think she tried my mother's patience a lot, and she would smoke cigarettes. Both of our parents smoked, and so my older sister started smoking, and I never smoked, and I was like, I will never do that. No way. That's not good for you. Why would you put that in your lungs anyway? I was always like turned off by cigarettes really, really badly, and I wanted my parents to quit smoking. My father finally did quit smoking, but my sister got my mother's wrath for sure, for sure. So my sister stole the car. I mean, she did all kinds of things that teenagers did in the 1970s. We went joyriding and cars, smoked cigarettes, did all things like that. Normal things that a kid would get into trouble for in the 70s anyway. It might not be like that now, but it was back then. Y'all remember the 70s, right? And she was just very cruel to my sister. My sister was a little heavy and overweight, and she was very cruel to her about her weight and everything. So, yeah. And my mother wasn't the type that you could go and ask for help, help me go on a diet or help me lose weight. Or she was so critical that, you wouldn't come and ask her for help in anything. But she was a very organized and clean lady. I have to say that. She kept a really clean house for somebody with 5 kids. And me and my older sister, we were, the designated housekeepers. On Saturdays, we had to do our chores before we were able to go out and have fun on Saturdays and do whatever we wanted to do. We had to make sure the house was all clean, dusted, vacuumed, dishes washed, everything. We also washed dishes every single night. Me and my sister, either you dried and put them away and swept the floor, or you washed the dishes. So whichever one, I think the washing part was probably the easiest part. And if you had to dry the dishes and put them away, that was more work, and you had to sweep the floor. So me and my older sister had to do that. I remember being so small that I had to stand on a chair to be able to do dishes. But probably at that time I liked it. You know what I mean? The kids want to help. Look what I got myself into. I had to do it for the rest of my life. But there's nothing wrong with making your children help clean the house. And I just think, the only part that was bad about it was that my mom was very critical and never happy with what we did. Instead of being thankful, I cannot remember one time when we did our chores and she said thank you for it, or she said you did a good job. Not one time. But I do remember her saying, not good enough, vacuum again, not good enough, dust again, many times. So she was very critical. And of course, we had to keep our rooms tidy and clean also. I remember we were living in apartments. So my father worked at NASA and my mother was a waitress. And we had lived in rental houses, but we were in between rental houses and we had moved to an apartment. And so we were in a 3-bedroom apartment with 5 kids. So we had 2 bunk beds. So all the girls were in one room, and my brother had his own room because he was the boy and he got his own room. So like I said, we had bunk beds and we had to keep our room nice and tidy and clean. We had Chester drawers. Each of us, we shared Chester drawers. So there was 2 Chester drawers. I shared one with my sister, and she was a lot younger than me. So she just needed a little bit of space. On top of the Chester drawer, I had all kinds of little knickknacks. I had a little toy Lhasa Apso, little statue Lhasa Apso. I had a boyfriend in the 6th grade, so I probably was like 12 years old, something like that. And his mother raised Lhasa Apsos, and he gave me this little statue of a Lhasa Apso. I always wanted one. I wanted Lhasa Apso so badly. My mother got me a Pekingese, a full-grown Pekingese that was meaner than hell, but she thought it looked like a Lhasa Apso and that I'd like it. It had a really bad odor to it. I don't know how old he was, and if I tried to pet him, he would bite me. He was so mean. But anyway, that's another story. That dog didn't last too long. But anyway, I had this cute little dresser, and I would put all my little knickknacks on there. And I had a jewelry box that a friend's father had given me. This friend of mine, her father went to the Philippines, and I think he went there to work. And when he came back, he had brought some things for all of us, and he gave me a jewelry box. And it was a black lacquered jewelry box with some kind of floral design on it. And when you opened it up, the shelves kind of just folded out. You've seen them, how you lift it up and then the shelves fold out. You guys, I loved that jewelry box. I loved it. I had some pieces of jewelry that I had collected that people had given me, just junk jewelry, costume jewelry from my aunt that she'd gave me a pin that she didn't want, or something I might have got at a garage sale. I don't know. I was always collecting things. So I love to open up that jewelry box and look at all the sparkly things, you know. I'm not wearing a pin, but I'm just admiring the brooch and the pins that I had. I just loved it. Well, one day my mother came to inspect the room. I had cleaned it and I wanted to go out. I guess I wanted to, I had a motorcycle. I had a mini bike. No, it was a motorcycle, a small Suzuki 90 motorcycle. And I wanted to go ride my motorcycle. Couldn't go riding until my room was clean Saturday. So she came to inspect my room, and I had made the beds and vacuumed, and I thought it was good. You know, I picked up the toys, and I don't know what, to this day, I don't know what was wrong. But she took her arm and she just slid everything off my chest of drawers. Just went flying. My jewelry box, my Lhasa Apso, everything that I had on there, it just went flying. And my jewelry box hit the floor and broke. She broke my jewelry box. All my jewelry went flying and everything. I cried and cried and cried. She never apologized for that, and I don't even understand why she did it to this day. I don't know why she did it. I think she was jealous that I liked that jewelry box so much, and that, you know, that I would put my little things just so on my, I mean, I would put them particularly in little spaces. It was cute and nice, you know. Look at this, it's all junked up. But I think she was just jealous that I enjoyed doing that so much, and I don't know. I don't know what she was thinking, but she cleared the bureau and broke everything, and I just cried and cried and cried, you know. I don't understand why she did that. You know, she could be really kind at certain times also, and the times that she was so kind, it was such an enormous difference in her behavior when she was so kind and loving, and that's the mother that you wanted. You just wanted her to be kind and loving to you, so it was like you were longing for that, you know what I mean? So you would do anything you could to get your mom's attention so that she would be loving and kind to you. At Christmas time, she made sure that we had a fabulous Christmas. I mean, she would say, "What do you want for Christmas?" Make a list. I mean, we would make a darn big list. All 5 of us, we would have a long list. She never said limited or anything. She'd say, "What do you want for Christmas?" We'd write it all down and she would get it. We had gigantic Christmases. You know, I'm sure she put my dad in debt. Well, back then, I remember there was, you know, when I was really young, I believed in Santa, but there was layaway, Kmart layaway. Remember that? She would do layaway and make payments on it. And she was, you know, she was a waitress, so she would go every week and make her payment on it. And we had, I'm telling you, wonderful Christmases. She was really, really good at doing Christmas and getting you what you wanted. And I was never disappointed at Christmas time. We had so many toys and so many things. Now, we didn't get a lot of toys during the year, you know, maybe on a birthday, but we wouldn't get a whole lot of, you know, she wouldn't buy a whole lot of things during the year. But at Christmas time, you got really whatever you wanted. That was, you know, that was fantastic. Also, when we did well, like she would always say, "If you make an A, I'll take you to Baskin Robbins and you can get a scoop of ice cream." And, you know, for every A that you made on your report card, and this is an elementary school, that wouldn't fly now, but you could get a scoop of ice cream. And I remember one time I got a triple cone. I had made 3 A's. I wasn't a great student, y'all, but I remember one time I had 3 A's. And, you know, just her taking me to get an ice cream and getting what I want. And I just felt so special and so good. And, you know, it was so profound when you had these times that Mom was being nice, because there weren't that many of them. My brother relayed something to me that I didn't know had taken place. He had some trouble in school with math, so he was trying to learn his timetable. Remember them? And you would do the flashcards and go through them, and maybe your mom would sit down and help you and go through them. Well, he was telling me, and he told me this recently, that he remembers that he was having trouble in school and with math, and they told him that he needed to learn his times table. And so my mother got some flashcards. She got the belt and she got the flashcards. And every time he got something wrong, she would hit him with the belt. And he said it didn't matter where it landed. It landed on my face, my head, my shoulders, my back, wherever it landed, it landed. And he said, "You're a little kid trying really hard to remember the times, but you're afraid you're about to get hit." Yeah, she was a mess, I'll tell you. And that's just a little bit of part of his story. He has a huge story to tell also. He had a very difficult childhood. What I've come to the conclusion, because I have thought and thought and thought about my mother, and I believe she was a narcissist. Now, my sister started telling me about her being a narcissist when my mother would be 82 today. So my mother was in her 70s, probably when we started really figuring out that there's something wrong with her. We would say she's really mean. She's a really mean mother, and I don't want to be around her. I limited my time around her because she was so difficult. And she made, I didn't want my children around that. So I really limited my contact with her throughout these years. But we didn't figure out that she was a narcissist until she was well into her 70s. And I do think that this is something genetic, because she has a sister that her personality is so similar to hers. And my aunt had 7 children, and most of her children didn't speak to her or have a relationship with her in the end of her life. So unfortunately, she's passed away. She just passed away a couple of days ago. So this is kind of, everything is percolating with me and coming to a head. I've been thinking about my mother every day. I have a lot of her clothes that I took from her closet, and I see them every day, and sometimes I wear one of her shirts and all that. And then my aunt just passed away 2 days ago, and then today's Mom's birthday. So there's a lot going on with me. So I just wanted to share this story with you about having a narcissist mother. My mother ticked off all the narcissist boxes. She thought she was superior to everyone. She was very manipulative. She pitted us against each other. She lacked empathy. She never took responsibility for anything. She never said she was sorry. She was very rude. She was very mean. She was very abusive. And she felt like that she ought to have the best of everything, and she did. She bought name brand everything. She was really in quite a bit of debt when she passed away, but that's because she felt this entitlement that she should have anything that she wanted, and she would buy it. She would like want a cake. She would go to the store, buy a cake, eat one piece of it, and then the next day go buy a different cake. You know what I mean? She was just like weird behavior, very crazy, weird behavior. But she just all the time thought she was entitled and she should have anything she wanted. And I don't want to eat that cake anymore. And I had told her when I was there, "Mom, you got a cake already." "Well, I'm tired of eating that one." But she had progressed into some dementia. And when her husband got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, my mother definitely had dementia at that time. She really did. When my stepfather, I say stepfather, but I really was never in a home with him. When he got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and he started having issues with being able to go to the bathroom, make it to the bathroom, or I don't know. He was having, accidents and wetting his pants and stuff like that, and he had to wear a diaper. When he had to wear a diaper, my mother announced it to everybody and anybody that came within a foot of them. And I'm not kidding you. As soon as I walked through the door for her house, David's wearing diapers. He's wearing diapers. That's she was just so cruel and abusive. And I don't know if she thought if she scolded him that he'd stop wetting himself. I don't understand her thought process or why she did that. Now, this was many, many years ago, but I feel like there's something going on with her there, that she didn't have any empathy for her husband that had lost control. He'd been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. He got his license taken away and everything. His world was really shattering. And that was, when he still was mentally, functioning well. And she would just embarrass him and say all kinds of things in front of everybody. She just did terrible things to him the last few years of his life, terrible, that I won't even mention. But just as horrible as she treated her children, she treated this man just the same way. So, even though she did have dementia and she grew worse, for me, the dementia, when I see my mother with the dementia, my mother was very cruel, very abusive, but if there was a stranger or somebody, that would come to the house, she was a different person. She could really fake it and make it seem like she was just a normal, nice, sweet lady. You know what I mean? She could go to the doctor, she could fake it for a few minutes. Whoever she was talking to, they would think, oh, this is a really nice lady. And I'm like, you don't know her. But she really had the ability to put on a different persona for, however long she needed to. She understood that the way that she was behaving wasn't acceptable. She knew that. Well, when she was in the hospital last summer, and, she was completely out of it. You know what I mean? She was completely, her true essence came through, and she couldn't fake it anymore. So she was horrible to all the people that came to give her care, the people that would try to, do dialysis on her, her nurses, people that would try to feed her, people that would come and were trying to help her learn to walk again, and all the technicians, doctors, everybody. She was so nasty and mean to them. And I would say to them, she is a mean person. She's mean. She's just a mean lady. I'm so sorry that she's treating you badly, because she no longer had, that filter. Her filter was gone, and her essence of who she was just left there. And you'll see people, like on TikTok, you'll see people with dementia, and there's some people that are just so nasty. And there's some people that are so sweet and kind, and just, even though they're confused, they're still sweet and kind, because you're left with the essence of really who you are. And, I still don't completely understand why my mother was the way she was. Maybe her parent was a narcissist also, and then, but I have to say, her children, my mother's children, my siblings and I, turned out very well. And I asked myself, why did I have such a difficult mother? Why did all of us, all the children, have to go through all this? Why? What was the point of all this? And what I've come to the conclusion is that when you have a stark example of unconditional love versus not having it, then you're going to choose love, right? We felt a little bit of love from my mother. We each got some love from her. Not, it was just at some certain times. So we knew what it felt like to have that unconditional love, and we wanted it all the time, of course. And we chose to love our children unconditionally because all of us have children. We're all good parents. We're all kind and loving people. Now, we definitely have some damage from the way that we were raised. I had a very loving father, too. I have to say that. My father was very kind and loving. My parents got a divorce when I was probably 15 years old, but up until that point, he was in our home and there, and he was very, very sweet and kind. He was not violent, and he passed away when he was 54 years old, so he was pretty young. But of course, we definitely have some issues, but we didn't take what we learned from my mother. We didn't take that and go beat our children. We broke the cycle. We said we want to love our children, and we never talked about this. I never talked about this as I was raising my children. I never had a conversation with any of my siblings that I'm not going to raise my kids and beat the hell out of them like we got beat. We never talked about it. None of us talked about it. We were still in a relationship with my mother, and we were all still trying to win her love as she was pitting us against each other and calling us on the phone and talking behind each other's back and saying this and that, and just kind of dividing us all. We'd never even talked to each other and said, Mom said this about you or said that. We never even did that. That's how separated we were from, I don't know. It was a very weird thing that happened in our family, but we all overcame it. And I think that was the reason why we had a parent like that, so that we would choose love. We would choose to be compassionate, loving people, and hopefully pass along that to our children to be loving and, choose love. So when the universe provides you with some stark differences, always choose love. The universe is reflecting you to you. You'll always get more of whatever it is you believe in. Simple acts of kindness can open the door to new belief systems that can mirror your life in an uplifting, joyful, extraordinary way. So do something kind for someone. It will always come back to you. And always choose love. Y'all take care and have a wonderful day. Bye for now.